Hello, Amy White from Worthy Written Words. Today we are going to be focusing on chapter 1 of James in the New Testament, and we're going to be focusing on verse 17. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to prep our page first with some clear gesso by Dina. And these bottles will last about 5 pages, give or take, depending on how thick and how many coats of gesso you do. And this is actually part of your kit along with the foam brush. Now the reason we are coating the whole page, even though our napkin is only going to take up a portion of it, is so that when it dries, it doesn't have a warped texture from where the gesso is and where it's not. So now we're going to take our napkin and make sure that it is down to 1 ply. It may already be, but if not, be sure to take that off. You can throw that away. And then we're going to cut out our napkin. And you don't have to be right up against the image because everything that's white is going to dry see-through, so it's gonna be very forgiving. So I'm not really paying too much attention on how precise I'm cutting around this napkin. Now because my page is still wet from my prep, I'm going to lay it down where I want it to be, just right on top of that wet gesso. If your page had dried, then you're going to need to put some more wet gesso underneath the napkin. And then we put a coat on top of the napkin. And you want to be careful with the top coat that it's not too thick, and you want to be not super aggressive with your brush because you don't want to rip the napkin. So just be cautious and careful. And then when this is done, you can cut off any excess pieces hanging off of the sides of your page. And then you're going to either let that air dry or dry it with a heated tool. Now I cut off these extra twigs on the side of my page, and I chose to put them up above to just add a little bit more graphics and give it the illusion that this present is underneath a tree. And again, anytime you're putting the napkin on, there needs to be gesso underneath the napkin and then gesso on top of the napkin. In your kit, you're going to have either a red or a green bow sticker, and I'm just putting that on the present. If you don't like the kits to be chunkier, then you can omit this from your kit. And then the next thing is you have strips of paper that we're going to be ripping, and the way you do it is you pull the part you want to be white, you pull it towards you, and it will show up white next to it. If you do it the other way, if you pull it away from you, then it'll be backwards and you won't have that ripped white look. It'll be on the back side of the paper. So you can see how I'm ripping them this way. Rip them towards you with the piece that you are going to be using on the other side. And then we're going to cut these pieces of paper out, these strips of paper out, and we're going to glue them to our book. I am going to be using these double-sided sticky squares. I grew up calling them photo splits. You could also call them photo mounting squares. I have a bunch that I am trying to just get through because they're a mess. But you could also use AdTech craft tape. You could use a glue stick. All those things will work. And you can see that I have my pages being held down because they're wanting to curl. And that's okay. It will, over time, it will flatten back out. It's the clear gesso that's making it want to curl. So as you're working on it, it might be a little more difficult if you don't have your pages held down by something like I have. But if you leave your book closed when you're not using it, and sometimes I'll even put something heavy on top of it, then it will eventually flatten back out. Using a red Glaze Sakura Jelly Roll pen, I'm going to underline verse 17. If you don't have these kinds of pens, you could also use any sort of red marker, red colored pencil, or a red crayon would even work. And then I'm going to put this sticker in the footnotes. Your sticker is going to be a little bit smaller than mine. I didn't like how big this ended up being. And then using a hot glue gun, I put this holly berry up at the top. Again, if this is too chunky for your style and taste, then you can omit it. It does have a little bit of a pointy side to it, so I just try to lay that flat so that it doesn't poke a hole through the page. Now you're going to get one of these colored presents in your kit, and whatever one you get, it will match with the rest of the page. So what I do is I take one of the presents and I'm going to poke a hole in the bottom with a pair of scissors through the bottom of that. And then I'm going to squeeze some hot glue gun inside that hole. And then I'm going to put the paper clip inside of the hole, and then I'm going to top it off with a little bit more hot glue. Then I'm going to let that dry, and then it can go and be put on the top of your page. And it can be secured with some of the gold washi tape that is also in your kit. And then after this, I'm going to use some pens to outline the Every Good and Perfect Gift is from above. These are green and red glaze pens from Sakura Jelly Roll brand. Again, if you don't have these, that's okay. You can do the exact same thing with colored pencils or markers that you have at home, or even crayons, whatever you have on hand. And I'm outlining the outside as well as the inside of the words. I tried a couple gold pens that I didn't really love before landing on this gold marker from Pilot, and this is included in your kit. It's hard to see the metallic aspect of it in this video, but be sure to shake the pen before you use it and then pump it on a piece of scrap paper to really get the ink flowing out of it. So practice first on a scrap piece of paper before you outline the word. And what happened is for me, I went over the black and it covered the black ink. So I went over the black again with my glaze black pen. You could use any sort of black pen that you have at home, but I just knew that this would probably work the best. And that's it. Be sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date on all of our video releases. We'll see you next time. Bye.